Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Colo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulse on social media.
Hi everyone. On today's episode, Jen explains Elvira.
Welcome to the show. Grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share. You'll never feel alone.
Yes, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So
She's an icon,
excited.
huh?
An icon, a crush I have, all of the above.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get into this one. Kind of following the theme of our Spotlight series effects. We're choosing people who are iconic and kind of more the occult, or like you like to say, the woo-woo. And we have a couple lined up, but Elvira was one we kind of oversaw for a little bit. And I think it was it was one that we're like, wait, she could have been one of our first ones because she's so iconic. But, you know, we did Edgar Allan Poe, who I think obviously got the spotlight that he deserved. I re-listened to that episode and I was just so, like, against him. So, I don't know. I think maybe that day I was kind of grumpy, but, like, I still kind of stand on what I said, but I still listened back and I was like, I kind of sound like a hater, but I for sure know I'm not going to be an Elvira hater.
Yeah, no, definitely not. How could you hate her? She is so gorgeous. She is so funny. I remember that I actually watched the movie later in life. I didn't see it as a kid, but her iconic quote of like, how's your head?
Oh my gosh.
No complaints.
You stole my... That's the only thing I was going to say. But yes, go ahead.
I was going to say RuPaul quoted it all the time. So I thought like RuPaul was being like really witty, but no, it's actually Elvira.
Yeah. And when you say her movie, I mean, she's been in so many things. I think she's done like cameos in different movies, but we're talking specifically about Elvira,
Mistress of the
Darkness. Yes. I had never seen it. I knew Elvira because I mean she's just iconic. She's like I think I don't want to say the opposite, but maybe the like counterculture of like Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Like I don't really know too much about Marilyn Monroe, but like I know who she is, and kind of the same with Elvira. And a couple Halloweens ago, maybe even last Halloween, we had some friends over and we're like, well, we should watch a Halloween movie. And I don't know why we landed on that one, but it was really good. It was a great movie. Yeah, and it was super funny and super witty. I don't have the details up, but it must have been like in the 80s, right?
Yeah, we will definitely talk about it. But who is she? So her legal name is Cassandra Peterson.
Okay.
And she was born September 17th, 1951 in Manhattan, Kansas. So
Kansas. Okay.
yeah, she's a Kansas girl.
Yeah, she's a Midwesterner.
Yeah, but she wasn't meant to be there long. Something that really like marked her early on in life that like I was surprised to learn is that at 2 years old she had some like freak accident where scalding water accidentally landed on her and she ended up in the hospital with like pretty severe burns.
Where did it fall on her?
It didn't say, but still like that's pretty intense. But she recovered. You know, kids they bounce back. And as a kid, she was always more fascinated by like creepy stuff than traditional like
macabre.
Than like traditional Barbie dolls. So she's always had that like darkness within her.
Now, she was born in the 50s?
1951.
1951. Okay, so right around that time where it was like very Americana. So that must have been really interesting to be so counterculture then. I think we take counterculture for granted now. Like everybody can kind of be their quirky themselves. Nobody super really gets judged for it. I know tattoos are like mainstream, but yeah, to be kind of against that culture in the 1950s, that's pretty different, right?
Yeah, but she was born in 1951, and then by the time she was 10, it was 1961. So then by the time she was really forming like her personality, like as a teenager, young adult, it was finally the 70s. Of the counterculture movement.
70s. Okay, that's true. Yeah, we had like the hippie movement and then just like, like disco. So, okay, so it was a little more in tune with the times, but still pretty dark.
Yeah. But in...
I was just thinking, when we're recording this, Ozzy Osbourne just passed away a couple of days ago.
Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, and now that all his stuff is coming out, it's really interesting, and I'm not putting parallels, but it took certain people to kind of revolutionize counterculture. I don't know how much Elvira is a part of that, but I just kind of made that connection. And I'm going to be fully transparent. I knew nothing about Ozzy Osbourne. Kind of the same thing as like Elvira. Like I knew who he was just because he was such a big personality. But I didn't know much about him, so.
R.I.P. Dark Prince.
Yes. Dark Prince and Dark Mistress.
Yeah. In her teens, she actually worked at a gay bar as a drag queen and a go-go dancer.
When, where at?
In Colorado Springs, Colorado. She was still in high school.
Wow.
So she was like maybe 16, 17. So this was 1967, 1968.
So as a drag queen, explain, I guess, more about the art form of it. Because I think when you think drag queen is somebody who is male or shows male and then like dresses up as a drag queen.
Yeah, so there are definitely people that are assigned female at birth that can be drag queens, because drag is an art performance which is like hyper gender showpiece.
Yeah.
So they call like people that are assigned female at birth that do drag in the feminine way bio queens. So she was a bio queen, which is like really amping up the femininity almost to the point of ridiculousness. So she did some of that type of stuff and also go-go dancing.
I was going to say, okay, so she was also a go-go dancer. Okay. And she was in Colorado, so she didn't move too far from Kansas to Colorado. I don't think it's like,
I think Kansas to Colorado is pretty far.
Yeah.
This is like how you know we're California. If it's not the West Coast, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm like pretty confident that they're not close to each other. But anyway, yeah, so then when she graduated from high school at 17, she moved to Vegas because she loved Vegas when she went, and she was like, I know I'm meant to be there. I know that I'm meant to be a showgirl. And yeah, immediately once she moved, she was scouted because she was obviously gorgeous, and she became a showgirl and an actress like super duper quickly. Yeah.
At 17.
Yeah.
And so she would have been that would have been in 67?
17 plus 51 is 1968.
Oh, 68. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in the 70s, like at this point, she's an adult. She moved to Italy, and she was the lead singer of 2 Italian rock bands.
Really?
Yeah, I know. This woman can do it all. She can act, she can sing, she can dance. Triple threat.
Not to continue to shit on Edgar Allan Poe, but he also moved around a lot, but it sounds like she did it right.
Yeah. I think she grabbed life by the horns.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah.
The devil horns.
Yes. She returned to LA after doing that, and then she started working at the Playboy Club in Miami, of course.
Okay.
She's always had that sex appeal.
But, kudos to her, because you think Playboy, you think like typical like beach blonde, kind of more that Barbie-esque type look.
Her natural hair is red.
Okay, so are you going to kind of go into when she started being more of a cult and like, okay, got it.
Yeah. If you look at her, like, because, like, obviously Elvira, that's a big black wig and stuff.
Yeah. That character.
Yeah, but she's naturally, like, pale and, like, strawberry blonde, kind of reddish hair, reddish blonde. But yeah, she worked there, and at the same time she toured nightclubs and discos, and she had like a musical comedy act. So she's again triple threat. Like, she's sexy, she's funny, like amazing. And then in 1979 she joined an improv group and created like a Valley Girl character, which was the prototype to Elvira.
Really?
Which was sort of like ditzy. So yeah, improv is super important in acting and public speaking.
Yeah. When you think Valley Girl, though, you kind of think that like Kardashian, kind of early 2000s, kind of Paris Hilton, kind of like that quote unquote dumb, drawn out accent. I remember from the movie she was like kind of ditzy, but the contrast between like that and the occult, so she was like a ditzy occult girl. Yeah. Well,
she was like that in the movie a little bit.
Yeah, she was super ditzy, but she was still like, I don't know, you just think like super posh and super refined. I think what's nice is, or what's really cool about her, she added that flavor of like the darkness, right? Of like black and
sort of similar to Walter Mercado. Like, she was kind of invited to step into a certain light, and then she made it her own.
Okay.
So the prototype was not this The Elvira, no, it was a prototype. It was like straight up Valley Girl.
And that was from her improv troupe.
group.
Do you know what improv troupe there is? Because there's like the big ones. It's like the Groundlings, and then Second City. Was it any of those?
I don't know the name.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in my research, but I'm sure it's out there. And then in 1981, so 2 years after this improv group, producers wanted to revive a show from, I want to say the 50s, called The Vampira Show, which was like Elvira, except not funny. It was just like sexy, dark, like imagine like a hot Twilight Zone host.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the same kind of mentality of like, speaking of Twilight, when like the vampires took over in the like 2000s, and we had Twilight, Vampire Diaries, like all these like vampiric type things, and they were all like super hot and sexy.
Do you know Morticia from the Addams Family?
Yeah, I do know Morticia.
Okay, so Vampira was like, I mean, Morticia Addams is sexy too, but like really, really sexy. Like a sexy version of that, and she hosted a show.
Okay, so Elvira played like a sexy version of Morticia.
No, I'm talking about the original.
Oh, the original
The
show.
original Vampira show.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And this was like in the 50s.
Yeah.
They wanted
Oh.
yes.
Interesting.
Yes. They wanted to revive the Vampira show.
So that show in the 50s, Vampira, I'm trying to think back. We only had like the big networks, which was like CBS, I think NBC, and possibly ABC. I'm curious what network would have picked that up, because this is the time where we had like Walter Cronkite, like all American, like
Yeah.
just that show seems like a very interesting timepiece within like the 50s.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it worked. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
hot
it's-
vampire girl.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what Elvis was like late 50s, 60s. So what's really interesting is it must have been so successful to like want to revamp it. Like it must have been a hit, right?
Yeah. So the producers were like, let's revive it in 1981. And they invited the original hostess, because of course, iconic. But they had a falling out in the like logistics and revise.
Like the producer and the host,
Yeah.
the original host? Okay.
So then they sent out a casting call like, you know, we want to revive the Vampira show. Apply if you want to be the new Vampira.
Yeah.
And that's when she auditioned to go to that role. And she did basically like combine her Valley Girl prototype with like the darkness of Vampira, and it totally worked because of course Cassandra Peterson can do anything. So she said, I figured out that Elvira is me when I was a teenager. She's a spastic girl. I just say what I feel and people seem to enjoy it. So it's very like campy humor, as we know, sex appeal, and just like good-natured self-mockery, like slightly deprecating but not too much.
No.
That made her really, really popular because these were like late night viewers. So.
She leans into the character. Yeah. This is the second time I'm going to reference Paris Hilton, funny enough.
She was the blueprint.
But she's the so she was the same. So in the like 2000s, Paris Hilton like made her big show with it's not The Simple Life. Is it The Simple Life? It was her show with Nicole Richie, where essentially she was like super ditzy. Like the character essentially was like she couldn't even get out of bed because she was so ditzy. But she's not. Like, she's actually really smart.
She's
and she's
very
like, I
intelligent.
created that character.
Yeah.
And she's like, it backfired in a sense because like afterwards nobody took me seriously. And the people who actually knew me personally, when they saw me on TV, they were like, wait, that's not Paris.
Yeah,
That's
like, what are you doing?
Somebody else.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Elvira kind of ran with it, but was able to take ownership of the character a little bit more and understand that it was a like caricature.
Yeah. And I mean, it's still a character at the end of the day. Like, her in her personal life is slightly different, but she still has that badass, like, I'm just gonna speak my mind and do what I want, that we saw as a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, as a teenager, she's like, I'm gonna go to Vegas, I'm gonna work at a gay club, like, I don't care. So yeah, she was amazing. And obviously, like, you know, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark came out. Her popularity soared. She did a lot more like movies and TV shows after that, but like that's really what caught the public's attention and sort of like what she became well known for afterwards.
And her like iconography goes in. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about her like she's dead. Like she's definitely not dead.
No.
But when I got kind of, I mean, I knew who she was. You know, I've known for a while. But then I got sort of reintroduced again because there's a show I like to watch on, I think, Netflix. It's one of those like car shows where they like either restore cars or make cars for celebrities. And the show, I don't remember the name of the show, but the garage is called Gotham Garage. Mm-hmm. And they're very like, kind of like that dark kind of rock, like the guy looks like a grunge motorcyclist, and I think his logo is like a bat with like spider webs. And she was on the show. I think they made a car for her. Wow. I want to say I could be way off, and I might have to look it up. But it was like a Cadillac or something, where it was like very gothy, and they like revamped it up, kind of like the long style, like kind of 50s Cadillac. And it had like the spider webs, and it was like very like Elvira-esque. And then she came on the show, and she wasn't made up in all her glam or anything. I mean, she still looked great, but it was like, oh, like she's so popular, right? Mm-hmm. Like she has such a signature to her.
Yeah, so many people quote the movie. Like, she has some great zingers. She obviously like gets reimpersonated in drag. She's been invited to like so many variety shows,
Halloween events.
Yeah, Halloween events, of course. She's done a lot for the LGBTQ community because she is part of the LGBTQ community. And during the AIDS, obviously in the 80s, like, she was barely getting some of her fame, but 80s, 90s, even to now, like, there's a lot to do with like HIV and AIDS work.
Stigma.
Yeah, a lot of like fundraising and stuff. Like, she'll do that. She'll go to prides. She's also a generous queen on top of all of the other things that she is. Like,
okay, like she's giving and she's loving. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do we know anything more about her, like, other works? Because that's not the only movie she was in, right? I'm sure she was in other movies.
No, but that's what she's known for, like, the most.
More than the vampire character?
The vampire character is Elvira.
I know, but she was in that. So how long did she do the show for? Or did they not No, they did revamp it, right?
Yes, they did. I don't remember the show itself, but... yeah, we could look that up. And,
I know you did your research on her. Now, is she the character Elvira, like, in her personal, or is it really more of a, like, not made up character, but it's super exaggerated?
It's super exaggerated. So in her personal life, like, she can be a little bit more private. She's still like funny and she's still like fearless, but it's obviously like toned down like a normal human. But when the cameras come on, like, she can sort of amplify it. Yeah. And
the reason I ask is because you have people like, the example I have is like Joan Rivers, right? I think when she was alive and doing her show, like the Fashion Police, like, she was still super exuberant and like over the top and would insult everybody. But I think to the core, that was kind of who she was. She just trimmed it up a little bit, but she wasn't like completely like off base. But Elvira was really more of like this was her character, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. More than
like the essence is who she was, but she wasn't on 24/7 like that all the time. That reminds me of RuPaul when, RuPaul did an interview with, I don't remember who, on a podcast. And he was like, obviously when the lights are on, I'm like, oh, Kurt, like, funny, all this stuff. Yeah. But then in my personal life, I'm just like, zoning out. Yeah. Like, I'm just a chill human, and I'm like, wow, I resonate with that.
I meet people like that. I actually met somebody recently who they're very exuberant, like, to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, like, how do you have the like energy, like, literally, like, they'll walk around, talk to everybody, have really in-depth conversations. They're super friendly, super like kind of witty. And I was talking to their partner, and I was like, wow, that person's like really like friendly and like is must be like fun, to be with them. And they said, like, they're not like that at all. Like, as soon as we get home, they shut down to the point where you're almost like, wait, are you mad? And they're like, no, I'm not mad. I just like don't have anything to say. And the dichotomy is so interesting because there are certain things in life where you do have to put on that persona. Mm-hmm. I think with entertainment, it's a little like overdrawn and exaggerated. And I mean, we can talk about ourselves. Like, we don't go around like talking like this to each other. we don't put on a performance, and this isn't like performance. This isn't a performance, but it's performative, right? Like we still at the end of the day have to be entertaining and have a product that's worth consuming. But no, it's right. Like Genesis doesn't sit at home and like burn candles while we're watching TV. I mean, she does that, but like I don't even notice it. Like if I did, I
keep it subtle.
Yeah, she keeps it subtle. And I've even been asked myself, like, "Whoa, like, do you get tarot readings all the time?" And like, it's like, no, I don't.
Well, it reminds me, I went to a party recently and someone was like, "Oh, I want to introduce you to Jen. Jen does all this stuff. Tell them about their astrology like right now." And I'm just like, I'm just trying to vibe here. Like, I'm not trying to do all that. And then the person was kind of trying to talk to me, but I just had like no energy that I was like, let's talk about like Genesis the person right now. Like I don't really want to do that. And I'm not going around being like, "Hey babe, this transit, this thing." Like in my personal life, I think I'm pretty chill.
Well, you know, it's really funny that you mentioned that too, because you've also kind of gone to the point that like Jen is your quote unquote stage name. I don't really call her Jen. Like I actually call her Genesis a lot. She's like, "Why are you calling me by my government name?" Yeah. But there's people who don't know you as Genesis, right? Mm-hmm. That we've had. What was the thing the other day? We had to like, you're like, "Let me sign my name so people actually know who I am." It was like a weird thing where you're like, that person actually doesn't know me as Genesis at all.
Maybe it was with our like CPA or
something like that.
Because it was like tax documents and they put Jen Calo. I was like, no,
no, that's not my name.
That's not my name. Yeah.
But one thing I did want to touch on, and it doesn't have to be like exuberant, but when we did the Walter Mercado episode, you were very open and happy. You could see that like he was a huge inspiration for you, and you drew a lot of like your inspiration, I guess, from him. We don't really talk about Elvira that much. I mean, we think she's cool, but is there anything that you do take from her and her showmanship? I know, like, you love RuPaul, you love Walter, you love, like, some, like musicians. What about Elvira? Because she's right along your lane.
I don't think she was, like, part of my, like, OG core inspirational group, but I think I admire her ability to be unapologetically herself and just bounce back so quickly and roll with the punches. Like if people try to roast her, she'll roast them back. Like I really appreciate that, and just having like the witty zingers.
She kind of reminds me of like the dark version of Dolly Parton. Does that make sense? Yeah,
it does. I love that.
They're very witty. They're both like big breasted. They don't like really care about that, but one's just like dark and one is like lighter, I guess. She did go through like a lot of pain in her life, speaking of like her personal life, which, you know, some of it does reflect in her astrology, so I'm excited to talk about that after this break. You know how sometimes you're just stuck in your head waiting for the perfect plan, the right timing, or one more thing to learn before you move forward? Rooted to Rise is for women who are done with that. It's a 4-week coaching circle, small, supportive, and real, where you take one step at a time, together. If you're always the one holding everything together, this is your space to be held. Rooted to Rise will provide live calls on Saturdays, keep in touch during the week, and give each other the kind of gentle, strategic support that actually feels doable. This isn't about being on or chasing productivity. It's about showing up as you are, making space for what's real, and leaving with your next step. I was in the very first group, and honestly, even with all of my tools, it was the missing piece that I needed to move forward. You can join or learn more at krista-luna.com or on Instagram at wildwillowco.krista. The links will also be in the show notes. All right, now back to the show. Welcome back to this Spotlight series where we are talking about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Yeah. So we got to take who she is as a public persona and her character, and I think we can both agree that we really admire her. She's just funny. I feel like it would be so fun to like hang out with her. And I think she's still, I think mostly probably just does like appearances now, right? Yeah. So in a lot of like political activism, which we'll talk about in a minute, but
she did go through some pain in her life, but she hasn't let that stop her. So in the 70s, she accused basketball player Wilt Chamberlain of raping her during a party, which, you know, is unfortunate to go through that. And that was in the 70s. And then Elvira wasn't until 1981.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was wild. But I'm glad that, you know, I'm sure it still hurts, but she didn't let that stop her in her journey, because
I don't think I'd ever heard that, and I don't know if he had any repercussions to that, because he's, from my understanding, he's never been canceled. Like, this is the first time I'm ever hearing about that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is all alleged because there was never like a trial and evidence collected and stuff. So in my day job, I do work with victims of violent crime, some of that being sexual assault. Did you know that like at any given time, there are 10,000 rape kits backed up and not processed yet?
Yeah, no, I heard a podcast about that.
And it's just so heartbreaking because, like, I used to work where we would help people get access to those tests. Like, you need a test basically within, like, 24 hours. You can't, like, shower, you can't pee, or to preserve as much evidence as possible.
There's protocol.
You shouldn't shower, you shouldn't pee, you shouldn't, like, have anything in your mouth, like not even water, and then like to wait to get seen and swabbed and stuff. Like, it's a whole thing. So honestly, I could see why a lot of women are like, honestly, it's not even worth it, like I'm gonna let it go and just keep on moving forward. And then in her early 20s, like not as like nefarious and serious, but she did a nude shoot to audition, you know, to like have headshots and be famous and all this stuff. It was a husband and wife modeling agency, so she felt a little bit more comfortable. And they were like, yeah, we'll be in touch, and develop the photos. And then they never called her back. But then of course, once she became famous, they sold all of those photos and stuff of like young version of her. However, she has done like,
I was gonna say, was she in Playboy?
Yeah,
she was, right? Okay.
She's done a lot of like adult magazines and nude modeling, so like people would have seen the goods anyway.
Yeah,
it's just that like
she got scammed. It's unfortunate.
Scammed. Yeah. Okay. But you know, she's just like, and she even said that when she talked about it. She's like, whatever, people would have seen it anyway. Yeah. So a lot of people maybe like publicly or outwardly let things roll off them, and then maybe it hurts on the inside. So I don't know where she is on the spectrum, if she is really over it or she's good at playing it off, but either way, like at least she
persevered regardless of like,
she's
what her
resilient.
circumstances. Yeah. Do we know anything more about like her upbringing? It's really interesting. Like, she grew up in Kansas. I mean, like that's like where Superman is from.
Yeah, that's all I was able to scour from her early childhood. And a lot of people don't know this about her, but she's actually in a same-sex relationship and has been for like, I want to say 20 years.
Oh, I did not know that either.
She's with I don't know if they're female identifying or just assigned female at birth, but like the partner was assigned female at birth. So
okay. And are they famous or
I think they're like a personal trainer.
Yeah, they
just go by, I want to say T, like Cassandra just calls them T, and I don't remember what their pronouns are.
Got it.
Yeah, but I mean, there are a few pictures. I tried scouring the internet to like find out more about this person, and like you can't find a lot about their relationship.
Well, that's good. I think I'm gathering that she's actually a very private and reserved person. I'm almost like under the impression that she is just an introvert, and I think she puts on this character, and it takes the energy to do that, or like the character gives her life, but she can also step away and just like live her private life. This is just a fun question. Who do you think would be really good to play her in a movie if they did a movie of her? Which I'm sure we'll get a movie. I feel like a biop is like coming. Biopic? Yeah.
I want to say Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Or maybe even what's her name? Oh my gosh. Not Ortiz. Ortega.
Yes.
When she gets older, because Jenna Ortega still looks to me like very young, but I think she's got like that like kind of
dark
vibe.
beauty.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of agree. I think Aubrey Plaza would do good too.
Yeah. I just don't know how Aubrey Plaza would look like as a blonde or strawberry blonde. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, maybe Jenna Ortega then. Yeah.
Has she been blonde or sharp? I've only known them as brunettes.
Yeah.
So you need someone that can do both, and I don't know if they could do both. I think
Aubrey Plaza, when we saw her in White Lotus, she had a lighter. Yeah, no, she did. She kind of had that more like posh, and I think she could play her.
But she wasn't straight up blonde. It was still brunette.
No, but I mean, I think the range of like acting she could still do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, but some of this is reflected in her astrology, so let's break it down. So,
well, what rating do we have for her?
Oh, yes, good question. We have an A rating.
Okay, that means it's perfect.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, perfect, where like they confirm it themselves.
Yeah.
Is like double A,
okay.
But A is like they're
pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. So she's a Virgo sun, Aries moon, and Libra rising.
Virgo sun. Those are my favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Virgos are very detail oriented. So, you see that in whatever she does. Like she does it to a T. Aries moon, just bold, emotional personality. Like.
Okay, this is what I remember. The moon can be influential in like motherhood, right? Mm-hmm. And Aries is like very fiery. Do we think that she had an interesting relationship with her mom, or do we more think that she, in a way, has been that maternal figure for the outcasts?
I think both. I think a little bit of both. I mean, the fact that she was so wild and unapologetic, like, I'm sure her mom was, like, laissez-faire, like, do what you want, take no shit.
Or she could have totally rebelled against her mom.
Yeah.
We don't know that. Right?
Yeah, but ultimately Aries is like rebellious maverick.
And what I thought of like being that motherly figure for like the kind of more outcasts or occult, she sounds like she may have been the first to have that like aesthetic of darkness, but like that really opened the door. Like you think like Kat Von D, you think even like when we just talked about like Wednesday, like that became more socially acceptable and like kind of more of like social normative too, right? To like go out in all black and like have that like dark aesthetic and like still be okay. Or like even be successful.
Yeah, I think so. I think she definitely paved the way for hot goth chicks.
Yes, basically. Yes.
And then she's a Libra rising, which focuses a lot on aesthetics. So just like obviously gorgeous from the jump and knows how to work her features. So
which one's the one? Because we talked about I can't remember what episode it was, but we've talked about like there's a sign that's more focused on the like aesthetic of it, but then there's a sign that's more focused on the like function of it.
I'm so proud. So yes, those are the two signs ruled by Venus, which is Taurus and Libra. Taurus is more concerned about if something feels beautiful, like you said, like the functionality or the quality, versus Libra is more aesthetic. So she really knows how to just like look amazing.
I listen.
Yes, you do. I'm so proud of you.
We've spoken about RuPaul a few times. Are they a Libra in anything?
That I don't know. I know that RuPaul is a Scorpio sun for sure, but I can't remember the rest. So yeah, something interesting in her chart. So the 10th house is the part of your chart that controls like career, fame, or just like what you're known for. And she has Mars and Pluto conjunct. So Mars, one of the things that it controls is sex appeal, and she's very, very sexy. And Pluto is darkness.
So it's like almost like a perfect mix.
In her house of fame. Like, that's what she's known for.
Interesting.
And it's trining or making a helpful relationship to her Aries moon. So she's not, like, sexy and mysterious. She's, like, sexy and bold, right?
Yeah.
So sexy, dark, and bold.
Yeah. That's
how we see these three planets together. Plus the sextile, another helpful type of relationship from Neptune in her house of subconscious. One of the things that Neptune rules is fame as well. So we have this sexy, dark, bold, famous person. That's how we see all the planets.
So she's almost like just written in the stars, essentially. Wow, that's interesting. I wonder, I mean, because she doesn't seem like somebody who wouldn't go to an astrologer. I wonder if like she's ever heard this from an astrologer.
Yeah, I don't know. But with the moon in her 6th house connecting to her 10th house and her 12th house, and also I don't know if the moon and Neptune are exactly opposites, but anyway, I could see this also making her like a household figure. Like if you say Elvira, people know.
People know who she is, yeah.
Who she is.
We should we're definitely going to tag her.
Yeah,
you should
of
DM
course.
her. Maybe she want reading.
Maybe.
Shoot your shot.
Oh my god, I'm sure she gets tons.
She seems so approachable, though.
She does,
yeah.
But, parasocial relationships.
Still DM her. That's what I say. I was going to say something about her. Oh, no, yes. Okay, I have a question. And you might not have it up. I don't know if you do or not, or if you could answer it on the fly. But also, from my recollection, Scorpios are very, like, sexy, mysterious, right? What you said everybody has a little bit of everything in their makeup. So, like, what's her Scorpio in? Because
she's a Libra rising, her Scorpio would be... She's specifically, I want to say, like a 27-degree Libra rising. So Scorpio makes up most of her first house and a little bit of her second house.
Ooh, first house.
All right. Pop quiz.
I kind of remember because it's like when you're born. Is that when you're like doing your identity and like your persona? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Or what am I missing?
Yeah. So the first house is a house of self.
Yes.
It's your relationship to your body, your aesthetic, your point of view, and how you process information.
Okay.
So it starts in Libra, but the rest is Scorpio. So again, this dark beauty, this dark beauty combination in her first house.
And so that also makes sense, like her Scorpio placement. And then you said a little bit of the second house. Second house, I totally don't remember.
Finances and wealth.
Okay, finances and wealth.
Which, even if you look at traditional or modern rulings of Scorpio, both of those rulers are in her 10th house of fame. So there's something called, I'm blanking on the word for it, but relationships where like the ruler of a house, if it's in another house, they're going to have some sort of relationship. So because her
there's like a connection, essentially.
Yeah. So because her second house starts with Scorpio, the ruler of Scorpio, which if you're a traditionalist, it's going to be Mars, and if you're a modernist, it's going to be Pluto. You see where that's going to be. So her finances are going to be connected to something. So let's say that Mars and Pluto were in her 6th house. Maybe she would have gotten wealthy out of something to do with wellness and like holistic stuff, but that's not her. So it's in her 10th house. So it shows that like a lot of her money is going to come from being famous.
Yeah.
There's that sort of relationship.
Yeah. Okay. No, super interesting for sure. She lives in LA, I'm guessing.
I don't know where she lives right now, but something interesting that I did notice was that she has Uranus in the 9th in Cancer. Cancer is the crab, also rules home because the crab carries like the home with them. And Uranus is just wild, unknown, random energy. Yeah. And then 9th house is the house of like foreign travel and just your identity sort of a little bit more in adulthood, like spiritually. So this to me explains why she moved around so often.
The reason I asked, because I mean it's a lot of work and I get it, but this one also I think would have been interesting to map on a astrocartography map, just to see like, because she went to very specific places, right? She was born in Kansas, went to Colorado. I understand moving to Vegas because like you're pursuing that, but I'm just out of curiosity, like what would track there as
That'd
well.
be interesting to see. Yeah.
You probably said this. I might have missed it, but since we do have a pretty good A rating, was she born in the nighttime?
Oh, that's a good question. I can look it up really quickly.
Because I'm assuming because you had an A rating, you were able to have you had the day she was born and the time she was born, right?
Yes. She was born during the day.
During the day? Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Are people who are... So people who are born in the night, does it really make a difference of like if they're going to be more like occulty or darker? It's really more of the degrees of where it lands.
It's more, where everything lands. The difference between day and night is that if you're born during the day, Jupiter is nicer to you, and then...
and what does Jupiter do?
Jupiter is the planet of abundance, or not nicer to you because Jupiter is always nice, but Jupiter is going to be a little bit more on your side, and Saturn will be more like tough love instead of tough discipline. And then if you're born at night, Venus is going to help you more than Jupiter, and then Mars is going to be more tough love instead of ass kicking. So
I see.
it's kind of complicated to explain, but that's like the gist of it.
Got it.
So she was born during the day.
Yeah.
So Jupiter and Mars were both, Jupiter and Saturn were both very helpful to her. So something else that I noticed with her is that she has Venus retrograde in the 10th house, again, 10th house of notoriety. But when someone is born with a Venus retrograde, Venus is only retrograde like 7 or 8% of the time, meaning that, you could kind of average it out, like only 7 or 8% of people will have this in their birth chart. People that are Venus retrograde tend to be a little bit more private in their love affairs, which is why I see that. Because also in the characters she plays, they're not usually like in love, romantic, lovey-dovey. They're more sexual.
Yeah.
So we see that Mars overpowers her Venus retrograde.
Oh, I see. Yeah. God, it's been a while, but yeah, basically the plot of the movie, she goes back to her like little hometown. Her little hometown's like super conservative, so she stands out, and she's there to settle the affairs of like an aunt or something, or a family member with the home, right? And then like basically the plot line is like she's doing her thing, and all this like crazy wacky chaos goes around her, and she does kind of use her sex appeal to like get through her goal, essentially, right? But there wasn't like a romantic part, there was some guy she did like in it?
Yeah.
But that didn't overwhelm the story.
Yeah, that was more secondary.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, she's iconic, of course. I'm so happy that we finally spoke about her.
Now, I see in your notes that she has a Chiron in the second.
Yeah. So Chiron is...
That's a comet, right? Yeah. Look at me. I'm retaining everything.
Dang, I know. You're going to talk to someone, they're going to be like, how do you know all this?
I hide. I'm a closet adjacent witch.
Sure. Yeah, so Chiron is a wounded healer, is what they call it. So it's somewhere where you could have like a lot of pain but still persevere and overcome, and she has that in her second house of like finances and also a little bit of career, which I see that like people screwed her over. Like she got scammed, unfortunately. Like on her way to being famous, she was sexually assaulted.
I also think she probably had a lot of doubters, right? Like just because her aesthetic is so unique, I feel like she could have had a lot of people. I don't want to say she's like the butt of a joke. I feel like going back to Dolly Parton, like I feel like more people have clowned on Dolly Parton than Elvira, but like I'm sure as she was ascending in her career, like there was a lot of like doubters and haters, right?
And Chiron makes aspects to a lot of things, but one of the things that makes an aspect to is Mars and Pluto, and also her moon. It makes like this big trine. So yeah, there's a lot of pain that came with her career, but she has other factors that allowed her to persevere.
Yeah.
Elvira,
if you're hearing this, reach out to us. We want to hear from you, and we want to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Just come visit Mercy.
I never manifest, but I wonder if this is the one. Like, do you think we could ever get her on the podcast?
Never say never.
Yeah.
I was just looking at that. Never say never. Yeah, so great person, and she's just iconic, and now I want to rewatch the movie.
Yeah. I think come Halloween time, I don't know when this episode is coming out, but we're recording this in July.
It's coming out in August.
Okay, so not too far off, but come Halloween time, we definitely want to watch like a scary movie. So this might be a good one. We can maybe make it tradition.
Yes, definitely. So thanks for listening. This was a great episode. If you want to get in contact with us, reach out to us Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Blue Sky at JenCallo and JenCallo.com. And if you like the show, rate it and give us 5 stars wherever you're listening.
And if you do know Elvira or have a connection to her, let her know about this episode and see if maybe she'll come on.
Or share it with an Elvira fan that you know.
Yes. I know we're kind of doing our closing remarks, but you know who gives me like very big Elvira vibes? She's not ditzy at all though, but like aesthetically is Sarah. she was on our podcast, and like I don't know, she's kind of like gives me the like Elvira of Merced.
I don't know if she sold it, but she was selling a really cool leather jacket that had Elvira's face like spray painted on the back.
Oh, yeah.
If I had like more disposable money, I would definitely buy it.
For sure. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure doing these spotlight episodes because they're fun for us. We get to like dive into like one character. If there's anybody you want us to cover that kind of fits that mold of like occult or woo-woo, let us know. We'd be more than happy to do so.
Yes. Remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be, and signing off. Bye.